Welcome back to The Real with Joseph Lappin. I have Joseph Lappin on this fine Super Bowl Sunday. It's Super Bowl Sunday, Mike. We're already here.
I know it's exciting, and it's also kind of sad because after this free agency and the draft, and then the great dark times for like 6 months.
I will say that at least in Cleveland, our basketball team right now is the hottest team in the league.
On
fire. So we got something to look forward to, and this team's legit this year. I think we got a real chance to contend in the East, but it's Super Bowl Sunday, Mike. It's the San Francisco 49ers versus the Kansas City Chiefs. Kansas City, a chance to go back-to-back. The 49ers looking to get their first Super Bowl
in a very long time.
Especially in the Kyle Shanahan era. A rematch from 2020. Let's get right into it, Mike. Who do you got tonight? Who you like? I'll start off here. I like both teams, obviously. I like San Francisco. Right. They're a very well-balanced team. They're loaded. I think Brock Purdy's actually shown me something in these playoffs. He stepped up at times. People have questioned, can this guy step up in big moments? But I think he stepped up at times and has gotten the job done. I mean, Christian McCaffrey, a Laird Hamilton athlete. So, I'm rooting for Christian McCaffrey because I love Laird Hamilton. He uses product daily and a lot of his workout tools and stuff. But him and then you got Chase Young and Boza on the other side. And
Javon Hargrave.
Yeah, Javon Hargrave, Trent Williams on offense, Deebo Samuel, loaded.
The Avengers.
Kittle, yeah, I mean, loaded. Tashawn Gibson, who also bought a car from my father and Dan at one point at Fred Martin. So
he always has nice things to say about the city of Cleveland and the Browns. He actually said some really, really nice things during the NFL Honor Awards. So that was really cool. We always have love for Tashawn Gibson in Cleveland.
Yeah. Yeah, shout out to Deshaun, but and then you got Kansas City with their experience. Patrick Mahomes is Mahomes. He's great. Travis Kelce and the Taylor Swift Mafia coming in behind him. But Andy Reid, though, I think deserves a lot of credit. I mean, who would have thought 2 months ago the Chiefs would be back here?
I mean, I sure didn't. Like, in our last show, I kind of went into that little like hopelessness rant where it's like, this year finally I saw some chinks in the Chiefs armor and they still willed their way to the Super Bowl. So, it's great hats off to Andy Reid, Hall of Fame coach. Hats off to Patrick Mahomes, who's already a Hall of Famer, and he's still so young. He's I just hope they don't win because I don't, we just got out of Brady. So I don't want to go from dynasty to dynasty. That's just me though. But in all seriousness, hats off to Patrick Mahomes. He's the greatest, offensive player in the NFL right now. And it's so infuriating to watch that he's doing this.
They lost Tyreek Hill. The enemy leaves. You got the tantrums on the sideline in the middle of the season. Things just look like it's going south. I mean, Rashid Rice, he's a nice player, but that's your number one at the receiver position. Defense out. You got the Chris Jones drama.
You just got regular guys running routes. You got Justin Gray.
You had the Chris Jones drama. Then they had
Valdez Scantling.
Lyman Lee went and signed with the Bengals. I mean, all this stuff, and yet they're still here.
I know
I know everybody's going to credit Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce as they should. Those are two future Hall of Famers. But man, Andy Reid deserves more respect and credit.
Absolutely.
He's not getting for some reason. I don't think he's
getting him and Spagnuolo, because honestly, this might be the best defense Patrick Mahomes has had since he's been in the NFL.
They're pretty good.
It's not talked about enough. I mean, Chris Jones is Chris Jones. Karlaftis has really come into his own as a good edge defender.
Bolden, really good linebacker.
Yeah, they have a good linebacking core, but their DBs are like sneakily good, and Spagnuolo's scheme has been proven to be a winner. What are some of your keys to victory for both teams? Because I want to hear what the Lapman has to say about keys to victory for both teams, because I got some in my pocket that I think for both teams.
Well, I think with Kansas City, it's doing what they've always done, what's always got them here, which is Mahomes being Mahomes, scrambling, making plays, making something out of nothing. Andy Reid's going to dial up some crazy plays and keep moments of the game. Travis Kelce. I think that's the key for the Niners, obviously, defensively. You just got to contain Kelce and make them go to somebody else. It's hard. I mean, obviously, he's so good. He's like a receiver at tight end. Try to bracket him. Always shadow him, have somebody on top of him. But I think, too, for the Niners is to establish that run game. When you go back and watch what Baltimore did, I think the Chiefs have gotten by this playoffs just off of just like a pure experience and Mahomes' talent and Kelce's talent and Andy Reid. I think they've kind of gotten by a little bit. And you can go back and watch that Ravens game. I think the Ravens really gave that game away more than the Chiefs won it, to be honest.
Yeah. What worked all year for them, they just went away from it. It was the most mind-boggling thing.
They were averaging almost 6 yards a carry, and they abandoned the run, forcing Lamar to drop back and throw the ball like that, and trying to scan the field. And and Lamar's a great player. He's a great he can throw the ball, but I don't know if he's a great passer yet. In terms of scanning the field, reading coverage, which you saw in that game. Zay Flowers making some boneheaded errors, but
oh my God, Zay Flowers cost them that game. That game is all Zay Flowers' fault.
You can't turn the ball over against the Ravens, and you cannot, or it's not the Ravens. Excuse me. You can't turn the ball over against the Chiefs, and you cannot do stupid things like penalties like that, because they will capitalize. They capitalize on everything.
Or fumble in the end zone. Stand when you don't have to.
I think the key for the Chiefs, I think the Chiefs might have to get out to a hot start, like fast. Because if you let the 49ers start running the ball, McCaffrey playing ball control with that defense, which I'm going to be honest, it's kind of why I'm picking the Niners, because I think they've done a good job of that. And when Purdy's had to sit back and make the throws at times they need him to, he's done it. I think that's the keys for both teams, especially the Niners. You got to be able to kind of play keep away a little bit and pound the ball with McCaffrey, which McCaffrey can do. He can go 4 quarters. He's like I said, trained by Laird Hamilton. He's got that great cardio and breathing and all that. So doing all the ice cold baths and all that stuff they do out there. But anyways, I think that's the key for them. And like I said, I think for the Chiefs, they got to get out fast. And just, I think if they get out ahead early, the momentum, people are going to, the 49ers players go on that sideline going, oh boy, Mahomes is up again. You know what I mean? You start to get those flat, like, they're up again early. We got to compete. And I don't know if Brock Purdy can still go throw for throw at Mahomes. You know what I mean? So
no.
I think that's why the key for the Niners, I think, more than the Chiefs. I think the Chiefs are going to do what they've been doing defensively. Just kind of sit back. Spagnuolo's going to draw up some great schemes at times, throw some different looks at Purdy.
They're going to stack that box. They're going to try and make Purdy beat them.
They're going to do they're going to do a lot of different things, but I think they can do kind of similar to what Baltimore did early on in that game to make it a close game. But I don't think the 49ers are going to make the same mistakes Baltimore made.
Yeah.
And I think they have more weapons, and I think they're just an overall more balanced team, and I trust more.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you took a lot of my points right out of my mouth, because I have very nuts.
Right out of my mouth.
Right out of it. But I mean, for the 49ers to win this game, I think the keys are obviously right around Christian McCaffrey. McCaffrey gets going. They will win this game if McCaffrey can just get yards, continuously get yards against stack box, open up the pass for Purdy. And honestly, if Purdy can do what he did against the Lions and use his legs a little bit, because that really was the difference in that game, was Purdy picking up, very crucial first downs with his legs. And if he starts doing that against the Chiefs, that, makes things a little bit more difficult for them. Conversely, obviously, I think the Chiefs defense absolutely has to zero in on stopping McCaffrey and making Purdy beat them with his arm, which I think is going to be their whole defensive game plan. And on the other side of the ball, the Niners have to get pressure, but also get Patrick Mahomes on the ground with 4 rushers. Patrick Mahomes is so good against the blitz. He's such a smart player that if you send 5, if you send 6, what have you, it's going to be difficult to win the game on that side of the ball that way. You got to be able to get pressure and get him on the ground, most importantly, with 4, because we all know how elusive Patrick Mahomes is. And absolutely put Fred Warner on Travis Kelce and do not have him go anywhere else. Fred Warner is the best linebacker in football. He can cover, he can blitz, he can tackle. Put him on Travis Kelce and tell him not to do anything else the rest of the game. And I think that the Niners should win the Super Bowl. I am picking the Niners just because I think they just, the talent.
Their time.
Yeah, it's
you better win this year.
I mean, yeah, if they don't win this year, they're never going to win.
Third one, my gosh.
Yeah, if they don't win this year, they're never going to win. And honestly, I think Shanahan broke his curse too, because there was that statistic where Shanahan's got like a super high losing record when he's down after half, and they were down against the Lions, came back and won that game, so he broke that curse off of him. But yeah, absolutely, Niners got to come out leading by at least 7 at the half, and just pound the rock, kill the clock, minimize the time that Patrick Mahomes is going to have the ball in his hands. And absolutely, that defense can only rush 4, and they have to get Patrick Mahomes on the ground. They have to contain him. They can't let him scramble and do what he does. And I think
our boy Wooten just texted me. He was going to try to join, but he said
Big Woot.
Niners by 5. He had just had a customer just hit the box. So,
oh, did he?
Yeah. So, but anyways, Wooten says, anybody out there watching, I'm going to drop the link in the chat, or if you want to comment below, what's your Super Bowl predictions? Tell us your predictions. We're really curious. Who do you got? You want to come up here and tell us real quick? We want to make this a rapid fire. Anybody wants to come up real quick? Who you got? And tell us why. I sent the link out to a ton of people. I know it's kind of early today, so people are out running their errands. But Jersey's in the house, and you want to show us that hoodie real quick too? Go ahead and show that the H boys. Yeah, there it is.
Yeah, look at that.
Hoban Knights. Shout out to the Knights. Big Sam Greer out there hitting threes the other night. Offensive line going to Ohio State. Hitting threes, setting some beautiful screens. But Jersey, who do you got for the Super Bowl today? Who do you like and why?
Taking the Niners by a touchdown. You got it. I'm with Mike. It's pretty basic. Everybody's gonna think the same thing, but you got to get McCaffrey at least 25 touches. I mean, he's got to be doing everything. You got to put a lot of pressure on their defense with that, but then use George Kittle. If they're worrying about McCaffrey so much, you got to kind of use their own medicine against them. Kelsey's always the bailout. Use George Kittle. I mean, guy's just a phenomenal tight end. And in the last game, they barely used him. So, but McCaffrey, I think, is the most dynamic player in football. It's just amazing what this guy can do. And I think that dude, man, I said it in that last game, he took it to a whole different gear in the fourth quarter. I mean, he's already electric as hell the first 3 quarters. In the fourth quarter, it's just like, okay, now I'm going to go to an extra gear. And I think he's going to be in that gear this whole game. So, just do that. Get tight end involved. And then as far as on defense, same thing Mike said. You got to eliminate Kelce, because every time that pressure goes on Mahomes, Kelce's his bailout. And so with those 2 defensive ends, they better be getting pressure. If not, it's what a terrible investment it was to have both those defensive ends. They should be in there getting pressure on him all game.
Both of them. They got Drake Jackson and they signed Randy Gregory too. It's like we got an armory back there, dude.
Right. I mean, if they don't win with this, it's a travesty. And it's crazy to have all that talent and all that money invested in that team, and guys are saying by 5, I'm saying by 7. You would think we should be saying by 30, but I guess it's just a testament of what Kansas City's been able to do, and their scheme and how they get up for these games. But who the hell knows? I find it part. Then the other half of me says the whole Taylor Swift experiment. I just can't see it playing out the way it has and then them ending or them losing. You know what I mean? Would you tell me that the league's made $330 million off of her?
I read something like that, Mike. I don't know if you saw. I think it was like $307 million. Our next guest back. Hold on, we got a special guest. He was able to get in.
Yeah,
is in the
What's
building.
going on, fellas?
Shout out to Wooten is in the building. What's going on, bro?
What's up, guys? Rhonda's getting ready to page me, so I'm gonna give you my hot take real quick. I'm taking them edge rushers from Ohio State and the Niners, and you guys can just shake it off. Love you guys. I gotta roll. Thanks for having me.
Love you, dude.
Love you too, man.
Shout out to Wooten. Clap up for Wooten.
Yeah. You get him on as a regular.
Oh yeah, he'll be on soon. He's got a lot of good sports stuff he'll give to us. Yeah, it's gonna be interesting what happens. Like you said, the cheat or the where we at? Oh, Taylor Swift. Yeah, she's definitely. I think I read something like $300 million. I think it was. I'll look it up real quick. Double check that. But Mike, I gotta ask. This is a question for both you guys. If the Chiefs win, who's closer to the GOAT? Patrick Mahomes in his position, or Andy Reid in his position as a coach?
I mean,
I'd say Andy Reid.
I'd say Pat. I'd really say Pat. I don't
think so.
I really do. I mean, I don't know, and I know. I don't know if, and this is hot. This is a hot take. Some of you may disagree. I don't know if Brady has done as much with as little as Pat Mahomes. If he wins back-to-back Super Bowls with this receiving core, basically all he has is Kelsey. I mean, those Patriots
kind of similar though in a way because he had Gronk, he had Kelsey, he had Andy Reid, he had Belichick.
Tom had Moss, Tom had Edelman, Tom had
for a
dudes.
Season, Moss, and they lost.
Yeah, but he had dudes.
He never had Tyreek Hill for that long. No, but they are similar. They're very similar though. The talent. Yeah, you know what I mean.
And if he wins back-to-back Super Bowls, if he's already got 3 rings, as young as Pat is, because how many years is he till 33 or 4?
Let me look that up.
Yeah, look how old, because I can't remember how old he is. I know he was drafted in 17.
Right. Patrick Mahomes is 28 years old.
Jesus. So he's only 20.
September 17th, 1995.
So if he wins back-to-back Super Bowls, he's already got 3 rings at 28. And, Pat hasn't really had any major injuries his whole career. And, he takes care of himself. And he's a proven winner with, like, Travis Kelce and just some dudes back there. I don't know, man. Like, if he plays even into, like, his mid to late 30s, I mean, I could see him getting to that 7-ring mark, or at least close. And with the AFC the way it is right now, because I think we can all agree. I mean, how many, star, like, top of the line quarterbacks were in Tom Brady's time? You had a couple. I'm not going to say you didn't. You had a couple, but like it was more spread out. Like there were more dudes out in the NFC.
Bad division, horrible.
Yeah, bad division. And then in the NFC, that's where like the quarterbacks were. That's where the McNabb and the Breeze and all those dudes were. Like Matt Ryan at his zenith. Like it with Pat doing what he's doing in this AFC with Lamar, with Watson, with Herbert, with oh my God, Aaron Rodgers now. Like, dude, like it's like even though Aaron hasn't played a game in the AFC yet, or Josh Allen, I'm just saying the gauntlet that Pat is having to go through to win these rings. If he keeps winning, I don't know how you could argue that. I mean, there's certainly going to be it's going to be like the LeBron Michael Jordan thing. I think eventually where it's like everybody's going to have an argument as to why, and everybody's going to be right in their own way because Brady was so great. But if he wins, man, like there's going to be a strong argument that Mahomes might be the greatest of all time eventually. Like, I don't know.
The reason I disagree with you on that is because he's played in a league where he's never been able to, you can't hit him. quarterbacks can't get hit, and basically that's been put in place for him. Brady starts off at night. What's he drafted in 99? Comes in, plays 2000, 2001. Drew Bledsoe gets hurt. Quarterbacks could get hit. He took that shot across the knee, which killed one of his entire seasons. So, and then if you talk about the quarterbacks, you just talked about quarterbacks that Mahomes plays with in the league. These guys are all subpar compared to even the guys back then. Even guys that weren't even starters back then were better QBs. That's just how terrible the quarterback play is the NFL now. So I don't even think it's a comparison yet. Is a guy pretty damn? He's like a magician, but I don't think the reason I say Andy Reid and not him is because I still think Tom has accomplished so much more in a much tougher era of football where you could get hit, and he got hit, and he kept playing. And I believe he did it with less. He had Gronk, but he didn't have Gronk as long as they've had Kelsey. He never had a Tyreek Hill. He had Randy Moss for a season. I mean, he didn't. So I think Mahomes has had more around him. I just think Andy Reid, because although he didn't win when he was in Philadelphia, how many times he got there? Just his I would say his whole body of work, the consistency of his body of work of always being in a conference championship or winning a Super Bowl puts him right there with Belichick. So
yeah, I think too, it's close. I mean, Patrick Mahomes is great. Don't get me wrong. I agree with a lot of your points, Mike. I think he's definitely in a different category right now than any other quarterback in the league. But I think Andy Reid, though, he deserves a lot of credit, just like Belichick deserves credit, because they set up the right system. This shows you good franchises or great franchises to poorly ran franchises, which we saw here in Cleveland for most of our life up until recently. I think now we're good. But again, having a great coach and a great system and a great setup around allowing the quarterback. People forget Mahomes sat his first year behind Alex Smith, which was smart by them. That's usually what you want to do, is sit a guy, let him develop, mature into a professional athlete, you know what I mean, get to know everything. But I think Andy Reid's system, I think you can put, if you put Deshaun Watson in Andy Reid's system, you put Joe Burrow in Andy Reid's system, any other quarterback you put in his system may not be as elite as Mahomes, but I still think they'd be great, and they'd still be a contender. I think Andy Reid's system and the way he's got his teams up to play. I mean, look at all the stuff he went through. That you can make. I mean, Stefanski won Coach of the Year. Shout out to Stefanski. And Mike, we'll get to that in a minute. I know you want to talk on it, but Andy Reid, though, if you look at if you gave the award after the completion of the whole entire season, you could probably give it to Andy Reid, because that team was falling apart. They had this tantrums on the sideline, all the drama, all the stuff going on, and yet here they are again. I mean, and look how they had their first. Remember, the thing going to this playoffs was how are they going to do on their first road test? You know what I mean? How are they going to do? And that team was up to play. They were prepared, and he's just outcoached everybody he's played. He's just outcoached everybody. We got another guest now. Dan's in the building, just fresh off the Peloton, off the Peloton.
What's up, you stiffs?
Happy Super Bowl Sunday, brother.
Yeah, you too.
Appreciate you for joining.
Remind me to stick to riding with overpaid NFL quarterbacks and not Hall of Fame left tackles.
Yeah. Hey, who'd you just get? Who was just on that one?
Joe Staley.
Damn.
And Brian Hoyer was in the ride too.
It's all right.
Yeah. Yeah, he crushed me. I mean, I should have known. I mean, his team is playing in the Super Bowl tonight. He was probably pretty fired up.
Well, elite athletes, man.
Yeah. Linemen do not get enough credit for that. That's for sure.
You ever see Ray Lewis's stuff? Ray Lewis rides like 300 miles a week or something crazy out in the mountains.
Oh, that is crazy. Yeah, riding outside is completely different than a stationary bike. That's for sure.
Yeah, I ride outside. It's where I'm at. We live in Summit County. What's one of the? Was it like the highest terrain in?
It's the highest point. Well, it's the highest point in the state of Ohio.
Yeah, you ride 5 miles around here. It's like riding 10 on a flat. I mean,
yeah, for sure.
So that's what I do every day. I do the 5.
All right,
five's
so
great.
Do you guys already do your predictions or what?
Yeah, I got the Niners. I think we all got the Niners, right?
Oh,
yeah, so far.
Right. Well, I don't. I mean, my pick was 27-23 Chiefs. I think we're in for a Disney world ending of Travis Kelce bending the knee to Taylor Swift on the stage at the end and looking at the camera and saying they're going to Disney World and then a Disney plug. And
I know that's
Roscoe's got a question for you.
I think that's hey Josh. Hey Josh, this is what you wear when you work out, you F&I stiff.
Yeah,
he's trying to hop on. He's having some issues, but we'll see. Yeah. We'll go. Yeah, I like your point though, but he might. Yeah, it would be a Disney ending if that happened.
Yeah, I think. I think that's what we're in for. But I think it's going to be a good game for sure. I mean, either way, I think for sure it's going to be a good game. I like 27-23. Mahomes winning the MVP, obviously by default. I don't know that Kelce is going to have the game tonight that everyone expects, just because of how San Fran is on defense. They have guys that I think can box him out and take him away a little bit. But
Fred Warner.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah. But it should be a good game. I do like Sky Moore to score a touchdown if you are a betting person. I like Sky Moore to score. I also like our local boy Kyle Juszczyk to get in the end zone tonight.
Oh, you know who else likes Kyle Juszczyk too is Big D. So,
Big D.
Oh man,
you know he went to Cloverleaf, Big D.
That's that Kyle Juszczyk right there. But we were getting on a debate before you got on, Dan. If the Chiefs win, who's closer to being the GOAT? Patrick Mahomes in his position at quarterback, or Andy Reid as a head coach?
Well, I guess that depends on what happens with the next chapter of Belichick's career.
Yeah.
Belichick's on the decline because he hasn't really proven he can do anything without the other GOAT. But I don't know. I think Andy Reid is definitely extremely underrated. Extremely underrated, especially when he was so close so many times with that Eagles team that just could not get past the hump because, for whatever reason, but those Eagles teams were great teams that, every year going into the Super Bowl, most of the time, or the NFC Championship, most of the time those guys were favorites to win. Especially the year the Tampa Bay Bucks closed down their old stadium and knocked them out of the playoffs. Those Eagles fans still hold resentment against me when I bring that shit up. They're like,
Eagles fans are crazy, bro.
Oh, you're a Bucks fan. I'm like, yep, we closed down your old stadium. They're like, oh, you son of a bitch.
How dare you?
Oh, man.
Yeah, they do not like that.
What are you guys?
Everyone's got the Niners, huh?
Yeah, we got the Niners.
I don't feel like it could go either way. I picked the Niners just based off of
I think it's our wants. It's more about our wants.
It's more about our wants. I'll be honest. Like, it could go either way. It really is pretty even keel, but I definitely don't want the Chiefs to win.
Wooten popped up here for a second. Wooten,
and he had the Niners.
He's like, I'm going with the Ohio State edge rusher. So,
well, those edge rushers, they're the key. They got to play big.
Oh, they do. Absolutely.
Money spent on their asses, they better.
Yeah, the armory that they have back there. Randy Gregory, Drake Jackson, Javon Hargrave.
This game might be a little big for Brock Purdy, too. I'm curious to see how he reacts to this game.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of what all we were saying is the Chiefs are going to try and make Brock Purdy beat them, not Christian McCaffrey. They're going to do their utmost on defense.
Roscoe says Chiefs, not because I want them to.
Well, of course not.
He says Chiefs.
Yeah,
you had a point there?
Chiefs win. Maybe Kelce retires. Maybe Andy Reid retires.
Yeah, I was going to bring that up. I was going to ask you.
Vrabel waiting in the wings for that gig, maybe. Who knows?
Yeah, I was going to ask you guys because, but now that Dan's here, it even makes it a little bit better. Do you think this is Andy Reid's last year?
On something. It must be Super Bowl Sunday.
I know.
I know.
We're turning over a new leaf. Although
Mr. Mihalik. Excuse me, what's his new name, Dad?
Carl
Mihalik. Carl Mihalik.
Carl.
Chiefs 28-24.
Would you add 1 point to my score, Corey?
Yeah, he's like, what did Dan get? Add one.
Yeah, 27-23. What is this? A Price is Right?
He wants that washing machine, dog.
Yeah.
Nice. Well, maybe we should just go ahead and bet the spread then. If that's the case, we both got Chiefs winning by 4.
What was your question, though, Mike?
Do you guys think this is Andy Reid's last year? And do you think it pertains to if they win or lose?
Yes, I think if they win, I think he retires. If they lose, I think he'll try to come back one more year.
What if you're an established coach and you win the Super Bowl? It's got to be in your head as you get tenure in your career. Every single time you win one, that why wouldn't I just end it here? Like, do I really want to go back through the grind?
Yeah,
does
he
it
has
get
nothing
any
else to
better
prove.
than this? Why wouldn't I want to go out on top? I think sometimes athletes, coaches, and everybody kind of hope and just fall in love with it and don't know what the difference would be or what their life would change if not, and stick around a little too long. Mm-hmm. I think Peyton Manning did that with his legacy a little bit.
Yeah,
you wonder too. I wonder if you think Belichick's wondering if he should have left earlier.
Yeah,
I think
he
really wanted to prove.
He really wanted so he's that's all his life is football. He doesn't have. I don't know if he has life after football. You know what I mean?
I mean, he's been on that college football talk show a couple times, like the pregame for college, and like he does a good job. I think
he's pretty. Yeah, he's
on some podcasts. Yeah. He was on Larry Fitzgerald's podcast as a guest a lot. I mean, he actually is pretty entertaining when he sits down and talks ball. Like he's actually kind of funny.
You're gonna get great analysis from him because he knows the game.
Yeah,
back of it.
I think Belichick. I mean, well, it kind of feeds into what Dan was saying. Like he's still involved in football in some way, whether it be an analyst or an anchor or what have you. But I think Belichick do a good job at that afterwards, and especially with having like one of the best coaches ever. I mean, who better to talk the game and be on a guest as on First Take or something like that. Just like breaking down his points. Who better? Like I would watch that. I think we all would. I'd love to hear Belichick actually
Nick Saban's gonna be on the College Game Day.
Oh yeah, that's exciting too.
That's gonna be good.
Yeah.
But
how old is Andy Reid?
I think he's 60.
I thought he was in his 70s. Is he not?
If anyone's possibly never seen it, please go watch the video of Andy Reid playing Pee Wee football, looking like a 30-year-old grown man in the punt pass kick competition. Have you guys
Andy Reid's always looked like that.
He's 65.
He's 65. Wow.
I mean, he's probably not in the best health, but
what is it?
No, that man likes his burgers, bro.
I don't think he retires.
Pull that up.
Yeah, what is it? Andy Reid.
Andy Reid punt pass kick as a kid. He was like 9 years old. He looked like he was 35.
Give me 1 second. I found
you gotta see this. Every time I think about Andy Reid, I think about this video. Not even his Super Bowl wins or his coaching. This is the first thing that comes to my mind.
I think he keeps coaching.
Win or lose?
Yeah. I mean, you got a generational guy like that at quarterback.
Maybe he keeps coaching to try to beat Stefanski for Coach of the Year next year.
Right.
The Coach of the Year, baby.
Two-time
Coach of the Year. Hey, I guess I was looking that up before, and we shouldn't get too excited because Ron Rivera won it twice.
Well, he won it when he was with
Brian Dable. Brian Dable won it the year before, and also out of the last 6 coaches, 3 of them have been fired.
Well, not 2 times. I mean, he's won a very few. Belichick's won it twice. Don Shula's won it twice.
Watch this. Young Andy Reid. Watch this.
He was a lineman for Lavelle Edwards. But
damn.
Back to 19. This is the punt pass.
Holy shit.
Look at the throw. Okay, not an impressive throw, but did you see a little bit?
Yeah.
Look at him. He was like 10 or something, they said. Look at him. Look at the kid behind him in line.
Oh my God.
I feel bad for his mother, dude.
Those poor kids had to play with him.
Yeah, I'll play
Look
one
at
more
him.
time.
Look at him. Look at him.
His helmet was striped.
Yeah.
Oh my
Did they have him out on kickoff too?
Gosh darn.
I mean, just insane. That's the first thing I think of every single time.
I think he keeps playing. I think the league wants him there too. They got to keep. The league obviously wants Mahomes to keep winning, so they want to keep that formula together for a long time, as long as they can.
I could see him walking away, win or lose, but I think if they lose, there's a higher chance that he stays. It's just he had that health scare last year. You know, he's not in good, like you said, I don't think he's in the best of health, but you know, I think there's a chance he walks away, win or lose, but I think he would more than likely stay if they lose. And if they win, I think he does for sure retire. That's just me.
He said, Roscoe said Carl and Billy.
Yep. Billy.
Yeah, the Paisan is Billy. What do you think, though, Dan? Do you think he retires then if they win?
I mean,
I think he does.
Why wouldn't you?
Right.
What else does he have to? What is he chasing now? I mean, is he chasing anything more? I mean, he's got to. These guys at some point got to just want to be able to wake up in the morning and be like, "Where are we golfing at?" Like, I'm not.
Well, it's different.
I'm not talking to anyone from ESPN today. I don't want to talk to the media today. Like, I'm not going to go look at tape of Division 5 players for our 6th round draft pick. I mean, I don't want to do any of that anymore. I got enough money for my family, for financial stability. We've created a legacy. I'm going to the Hall of Fame. What are we really doing? Like, can I enjoy 20 years of my life uninterrupted? I mean, that should be the goal for everybody, regardless of what you do. You know what I mean? That's life. You only want to work for so long, and you only want to, have someone else in control of your time for so long. It's like he's still an employee. He's still an employee of someone. He still works for someone and wakes up in the morning and goes to work every day and is heavily criticized. Can you imagine winning a Super Bowl and then they come back, they deal with injury? Let's say Mahomes gets hurt in week 2 next year, and then that team doesn't even make the playoffs. I mean, it's like, that's like the grindhouse. It's like, why do I want to mess with that? Like, let me just go out on top and let me just roll out.
Yeah, and I think, too, I mean, it's just a different climate nowadays in football. Look at all the older coaches. Pete Carroll retiring, Nick Saban retiring, Belichick can't get a job, Andy Reid could possibly. All these older coaches, they're all leaving.
Belichick can get a job. He just doesn't want anyone to be his boss. So he's rolling.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like,
first thing, like, hey,
it's just not.
I'll come here, but that dude over there, he's fired. I know he's my boss, but he's fired if I come here. Just so you know.
I think too. I think the climate's just. There's a reason why all these older coaches are retiring and leaving. I think
they're being pushed out, man. Look at the reason why with that GM setup. Do you see that with that GM said why Vrabel?
Physically intimidating.
Yeah, I mean,
it wasn't the GM. It was executive for not the Titans.
Maybe that's why Stefanski keeps getting extended. He's not physically intimidating.
You're right. I'm saying they don't want like masculine, like real football dudes in there. They want these analytical dipshits. I mean, it's these guys are being run. They're being ran out.
It's ridiculous at this point. Like if he doesn't like Stefanski at this point, there's nothing football related as to why he doesn't like him. So it's fine.
There is, Mike. He can't win a division.
Oh my God. I don't even want to get started. 30% of our salary cap. We are the first team to have a winning record with 30% of our salary cap on IR since 1992.
Okay, let's not go too far down this rabbit hole, Mike, but let me ask you just a question. We'll keep it an even volume. You don't have to get off the thing or anything. You are Jimmy Haslam, okay? You are an owner of an NFL team. What is your goal at the beginning of every season? Answer me that.
To win the Super Bowl.
Okay.
Everybody else.
Okay. So you staff the team accordingly. You put people in position to win the Super Bowl. How long do you give that process before you give up on the fact that it cannot happen?
Depends on that's such an open-ended question. Really depends on the factors. Like how much success has the guy had, and what has he been given? What is the situation within the season? Like there's a bunch. Okay. Like I think I had this conversation with Joseph. I think if next year it doesn't work out and Watson doesn't work out, it's more likely they move off of Watson than they move off of Kevin. Because we get our first.
Okay.
Because I honestly think that if it doesn't work with Watson, you bring in a whole new offensive staff. You bring in all the weapons, because I really do think they're going to bring in some receivers, either like high-end receivers, either through the draft or free agency, what have you. If it doesn't work out, and, Kevin Stefanski's fine changing the offense to fit Watson's more inside zone, RPO style offense that Ken Dorsey runs.
Okay.
And it doesn't work. They'll move off of Watson before they move off of Kevin.
Okay. So let me ask you this. You have the option to have Kevin try to go do that next season and try to win the division. Okay. Let's start with the division, not even Super Bowl. I just want to be the best of 4 teams in our division. You have the opportunity to tell him this is what needs done. If you cannot accomplish it, we are more than likely to move on. Why would you offer him a contract extension before him proving he could do that?
Well, what do you mean? I don't even know what the question is.
Contract. He has another year left. So why would we extend him ahead of him proving that he could be the best 4 teams in our division?
Why would we? Because he's already proven that he can turn this team into a winner.
Oh, and what do you define as a winner? Just a winning record? That's it? We haven't won the division. We haven't won a playoff game with him.
Okay. I mean, Mike Tomlin hasn't won the division in almost a decade? Should they move off of him? Or would you think that's stupid? Because he's turned a Steelers team that's
Mike Tomlin's never had a losing record, Mike, and he's won Super Bowls. It's different.
Great. He's never had a losing record, so he goes 9-8.
And he's won Super Bowls. Did you just miss the one Super Bowls part?
Okay. When was the last Super Bowl he won?
What was it, 04, 06?
08.
I mean,
okay.
08? What? I mean,
so you think it's smart for the Steelers to continue to keep him just because he never has a losing record?
Well, I think
I mean, it's superfluous, the argument you're making.
The Steelers won the division.
2016?
I'll look that up.
I think you got to throw Tomlin out because the Rooneys are just different owners. The Steelers have had 3 coaches in my lifetime, so that's just an anomaly. You can't. That's a bad example.
How is it a bad example? It's the same. If we're talking about situationally, why?
Because of the type of owners they are. There's no other owners like the Rooneys. They hold on to people. You know what I mean?
What's wrong with holding on to a guy that has been proven in a winner and can have an option to win a Super Bowl? If he gets the right people around, he's only been our coach for 4 years and he's gotten to us to an 11-win team and then been competitive with Jacoby Brissett and Baker Mayfield with one arm.
Well,
I got to point this out real quick. The Steelers won the division in 2020 when the Browns beat them in the playoffs. That was last season.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's right. That's right.
When the Browns formatted that team and wiped out everything, Jimmy Haslam had a window, a certain amount of years. This is how these guys think. They just don't leave it open-ended. Okay, hopefully we'll win in 10 years. No, they had a plan. We're gonna wipe this team out, and then by this time we need to be here, and by this time we need to be here. That's how these guys think. That's how they become billionaires. So the question is, what is Haslam's timeline? And I don't think it's. I think the hourglass is emptying with Stefanski. I'm not here, and I think Stefanski did a great job considering everything he had against him last year.
Agreed.
But these billionaires think differently than we do, and so they don't give a shit. And so I think his timelines, his hourglass is empty. And just like what they did with Van Pelt, I guess he wanted to keep Van Pelt, and they said no, we're getting rid of Van Pelt. He wanted to keep calling plays. They said, no, you're not calling plays. So there's already friction with what Stefanski wants versus what ownership wants. So what that eventually leads to is either you win or you are out.
That's not true. No, it's not. It's just not. I know what you're talking about. You're talking about Albert Breer, who is a Patriots beat reporter. Came out and said,
Albert Breer is a very respected, long time, very plugged into Cleveland. Albert Breer
and Mary Kay and other Cleveland reporers who
they're going to cover it up. But I mean,
they're going to cover it up, and we're going to trust Albert Breer, who's been wrong all the time about.
Well, listen,
Mike, you have to look at the
Albert
actions.
Breer is a joke.
Albert Breer is a great report. You have to look at the actions, Mike.
I'm not going to believe one reporter over 6.
Mike, you have to look. Hold on, Dad. You have to look at the actions, Mike. They didn't retain Alex Van Pelt. The organization didn't. Van Pelt or Stefanski didn't want him to leave. But they didn't.
Everything I've said, it was Stefanski's decision to fire.
Jimmy Haslam, who has done this before in the past, they want a better system for Deshaun Watson, which makes sense because they paid the man $40 million. The system they were running did not fit him. The way everything was set up, and they looked flat in the playoff game. They looked horrendous. They needed a change. They needed a spark. They said we want something new. And Ken Dorsey and Kevin Stefanski are complete polar opposites in philosophy. So clearly the organization said, we want something new in here with Deshaun Watson. All you got to do is look at their actions. I don't think Albert Beer wouldn't make some. Albert Beer's been pretty on the money for a long time.
Actually, really hasn't, though.
He's been on the money for a long time. He was talking about Watson coming to Cleveland long before anybody else in Cleveland was. And many other things. And I like Mary Kay's a great reporter too. But
Albert Beer's the one that tweeted, it's not happening with Cleveland. That's he's famously he's been tagged in freezing cold takes more than anybody.
Mike, he was on the fan saying Cleveland's a real threat for Deshaun Watson. I heard it verbatim on Bull and Fox show. I'll have Dan text Dustin Fox. We'll get him up here and he'll fact check that. But I know what I heard. So again, they pushed Van Pelt out. The organization said we don't want that. And basically what they, just like Jay Crawford pointed out in the Cleveland Sports Show, and shout out to Earl if he's watching, you want a contract extension to Stefanski? Give up play calling. That's how it's going down. And all you gotta do is look at the actions, Mike. It's pretty obvious. Why would Stefanski all of a sudden change his?
But before making him win, I mean,
I think you're right. I don't think they are going to extend him until they know how this works next year. Next year's it.
Well, the report came out that him and Barry are getting extended, possibly in the very near future already.
They are, yeah.
Which is okay, if you want to extend them, but you have an opportunity to make them win. I mean, why wouldn't you want to see how they react at least to that? You can still extend them afterwards if you like what they did with it, but why wouldn't you want an opportunity to see how they react to the pressure of, you guys have to do it this year. It's this year, or we have to go back to the drawing board. Why are you rewarding them early for a trophy, that he won for the second time, being coach of the year, and all the adversity survived? Great. He did a good job with that. He kept the team together. He was a leader. But at the end of the day, your goal as an owner is to put a winner on the field, and you have to win, and you need to win your division and ultimately win the Super Bowl. And we can't even take the first step to that and be the best of 4 teams in our own division with Hall of Fame players on our team.
We were only 2 games out from almost winning the division, playing 4 different quarterbacks, though, dude. Okay. I just don't understand.
It don't matter, though. At the end of the day, the goal wasn't.
That's not an excuse. He did a fantastic job.
No, I know that, but
he's a winning coach.
Mike, think about the business you were in with us. There was no excuses when we had to hit our objectives. It didn't matter. It didn't matter.
31 on the road.
We didn't hit the objectives. We got punished.
A team that almost beat the Ravens.
He almost beat the Ravens. They lost by 20, Mike.
It almost doesn't cut it. It don't matter. They didn't hit. That's all that matters to these guys. You didn't hit. And so
you lost to a rookie quarterback by 31 points on the road in the playoffs.
Yeah, and then shit
the
to bed.
defense did not show up.
To bed.
That was awful.
That's all on Stefanski. They shit to bed in that game. That was horrible.
Now, I'll give the Browns this, though. The world loves the Browns. I mean, outside of us and everybody that's around here, you can tell by that award ceremony that the world really wants it for the Browns. They really, really want it for the Browns, which is great because, I mean, to be honest, I was loving the fact that Flacco did what he did at the end, regardless of all the interceptions, but he don't belong anywhere near that trophy.
No, I didn't think so. I don't think Joe should have won.
You know that, and I'm not just talking about Hamlin or Michi or Baker. Give me any of those guys had validity to it. You don't come in for 6 games, lead the league in interceptions, and take that trophy down.
No, yeah, Joe shouldn't have won that.
Now, Jim Schwartz should have won it. There's an argument that Miles shouldn't have won it, but we do not need to go down that rabbit hole with Miles because I know that's going to open up a can of worms. But I'm just saying the world really wants it for the Browns. We all want it for the Browns, but we have to figure out what is it that we want. Do we want to just be excited during the regular season and talk about how they're competitive and we knock off a couple 1 seeds during the year and we can beat anybody and then choke it all away in the playoffs and not show up? Or do we want someone that's going to next level us? I think the Browns need to take an NBA approach to this and realize here's your ceiling. Here's your ceiling with what you got now. You need someone to get you over the ceiling, like all NBA teams do when they get crashed in the second round and can't make the conference finals.
Well, yeah, and here, like I said, I think everything Albert Breer said in that report, Mike, on that show, because I saw that show, like you said, the clip. Do I think everything was correct? Was he buttered up Van Pelt a little bit because he's a New England guy? Absolutely. And I thought he was a little exaggerated on that. And I mentioned that when I reacted to it on my show. But I do think I don't think that report came out of thin air. And I don't think Albert Breer would do that. He's a pretty respected guy. But I'm saying, look at the reaction. Because, Mike, you and I were shocked the morning we woke up and saw that news. We were kind of like, you didn't expect that coming. Nobody expected them to let go of Van Pelt, right? I mean, was everybody surprised? Was everybody a little surprised? And
it's a good thing, though. Like, good coaches.
A good thing, but I'm saying, though,
I mean, everything Dan is saying is happening, just not the way he wants it to. Like, instead of getting rid of the head coach, they are changing the offensive philosophy.
Winning the division.
I know, but Mike, my question though is, I think was everybody pretty surprised when you woke up and saw Van Pelt was fired?
Yeah, that's not somebody I was
really expect that
thinking about,
because he looked like he was okay just being the guy letting Stefanski call the plays. He's just sitting there with the tablet. So I don't know.
What it kind of tells me is there's some buck passing going on, and so now that Van Pelt, he can't be the blame now. So it's like Dan said, next year's the year. It should have get off the pot. And they better win their division, or Stefanski's gone.
Yeah, and I think
that's what I'm saying. So why extend him ahead of time? We need to get out of
the I would extend him.
Coaches when they're not coaching for us. If you extend him and then you fire him, you're paying him for no reason.
Yeah, I would. I don't know why they would do that.
I agree with you. I would probably wait. Aaron, I like Stefanski a lot, but I would probably wait. I agree with you. I want to see the results first. But do I think if I had to bet, do I think they'll extend him this offseason? I do, because I think they wanted him to give up play calling to bring in a different philosophy. I mean, there was remember the report last offseason, it was Haslam wanted the team to be more air raid. We've seen this before from them. There's no way they didn't step down.
Deshaun Watson's already telling T. Higgins, we're throwing the ball next year. Come on over.
Yeah, we're throwing the ball.
He knows the offense ahead of the guy calling the offense.
Andrew Berry's going to, spend that money. And just like Earl, who might be watching the All-Inclusive Sport, he pointed out on the show this past week, if you look at the command and chain in Cleveland, it goes Haslam's, Paul DePodesta, and most likely Deshaun Watson. You don't pay that guy $240 million. He's not that high up in the organization.
Let's bring Stefanski on. Where's Mr. 216 at?
We gotta get. I want the Stefanski's dad, Bruce Stefanski.
Yeah, where's Bruce Stefanski? When's he make his debut?
I got to tell Joseph about that, but I'll tell you after.
But I don't know.
But hey, though, you never know though that Mike. And Stefanski's not infallible. You talk like Stefanski's infallible.
No, but I talk like he's actually a good coach. Like, I'm not going to sit here and shit on him.
But no, I agree with
Brandon Whedon, for God's sake.
I believe he's a good coach, okay?
Yes.
But maybe this is what needed to happen, and maybe next year you got the total opposite. Maybe the offense is firing next year, and then we can all go back and say, hey, you know what? Stefanski swallowed his pride. He did what was best, and now the offensive firing, they won a division. So, but the dude's not. If Bill Belichick's not infallible, or some of these other guys that you might criticize, Mike Tomlin, then Stefanski sure as hell isn't infallible.
I'm not saying I never said he was infallible, but when three people. And I'm not saying you, Joseph, but when people are shitting on him and talking, Dan talks about him like he's not a good coach. Dan talks about him like this dude is the reason why the Browns are not winning, and which is just not the case. It's just that's why I feel like I got to defend. Like, I don't think he's infallible. I have criticized Stefanski on our shows. Joseph can attest to it, and I will. Like, yeah, do I defend the guy? Of course. When let's
take it back a second. Define what you think is a good NFL coach. Just give me a couple bullet points on what you classify as a good coach.
Somebody who can keep the team together through adversity. Somebody who can coach the team to a winning record, take them to the playoffs consistently, and eventually attain the ultimate goal of winning a Super Bowl.
Okay, so he's got a couple checks on that box he still needs to fill, right?
Correct.
Okay.
And he's still a relatively new coach.
Why would you pay him ahead of him showing he could do that?
But who would you bring in that's better?
I'm not bringing anybody in yet. He's still under contract. He's still our coach next year. It is what it is. We're not firing him. We're not getting rid of him. We know that. Why am I awarding you when you have a year
Oh,
left.
okay. You're just talking about directly the contract extension. I don't know. Maybe it was an internal thing. Maybe he was like, hey, like this is what I want if this, that, and the other, like kind of what Joseph was saying. And if that's the case.
Good head coaches win their division, Mike. Good head coaches win in the playoffs. Stefanski has done neither of those things.
He's won a playoff game.
No, he's not. Mike Prefer won that playoff game.
Oh, my God. Stop that. It's his game plan. It was his plays.
That doesn't count for him. He wasn't there.
I'm not even going to get into that.
Hey, it's true.
If Jim Harbaugh wasn't at the national championship game and Michigan won, would you give Jim Harbaugh that championship?
Yes, it's his fucking off.
He gets credit.
It's his whole gameplay.
You get credit for it. He got him.
It wouldn't be the same though.
But yeah, I get what you're saying. But I mean, he does get credit.
Got to be on the sideline.
No, I get it.
The two games he was there for, Mike, they lost both of them. You know that already. Against who? Chad Henne and C.J. Stroud.
I mean, that year's defense was bad, though. So, like, I'm not even going to get
There's always going to be a bullet point, Mike. There's always going to be a bullet point.
Well, it's just because...
God.
Huh?
They still had Myles Garrett.
Yeah, we had one guy.
Well, I mean...
His best guy on the field, but still, he's one guy.
I believe we had the highest paid defense in the NFL that year.
We did not.
I think you're wrong there, buddy.
No, we did not.
We had the ball in hand with 8 minutes left. And we could have went down. It was a 3-and-out, and that's when I started to question if Baker was the guy because it didn't look good.
I mean, here that's just Baker Mayfield. That's just Baker being Baker. I mean, Dan saw it. Dan saw it in the playoffs.
Got 2 playoff wins, buddy.
You saw.
Baker got more wins than Stefanski,
and two playoff giveaways as well.
He's 2 and 2 in the
playoffs. When the game matters, Baker Mayfield forgets what jersey he wears. That's all.
Well, Mike, that Texans game mattered, and we didn't even show up. We thought it was a preseason game.
It was a poor game plan all the way around.
Right.
Who's responsible for the game plan? The head coach.
Players win game, coaches lose them. And Stefanski would even say that. Stefanski would say that. And here,
so you need to change your definition. Our franchise has evolved where we need to stop thinking of the Hugh Jackson, Freddie Kitchen days of the Browns and realize that we have Hall of Fame talented, all-pro, first-class NFL players on this roster, and we have had for some time, and our expectations need to rise to what comes of this. Browns fans are very easy to go back to, but we are 9-7 or we are 11-5, and it's like, dude, I don't give a shit what our record is. I want to see a home playoff game, and I want us to win the division. That's what I want right now. I'm not even talking about Super Bowl yet. Because I can't even envision what that would be like. But I want to win the division. I want to be the best of 4 teams in our division. That's it.
If Dan Campbell and the Lions can make it and do what they did this year, the Browns certainly can. They're in the same kind of market. Although Cleveland's a little bigger market. Well, when was Dan Campbell hired? Dan, was it 2 years ago? 3 years ago?
I think this was his 3rd year, I believe.
So right around he's almost the same amount of years Stefanski. I could argue we're better in some spots. They're pretty good in some spots.
We did do them a favor by taking Anthony Schwartz when they drafted him Amon-Ra St. Brown, though.
Yeah, but if we make up for that, if we go out and get the receiver finally this offseason, hopefully, and come out with this new offense, I mean, why can't they? They should win the division next year, really. If they do it, if he does the additions, he's.
We have the Bengals number. Ravens are going to be depleted.
You got Joe Burrow coming off his 2nd season-ending injury, and they haven't been able to really protect him really well down there. They could lose T. Higgins.
The
Ravens.
T. Higgins.
Yeah, the Ravens could be losing a lot of people. And here you kind of saw the
Ravens already did. The Ravens already lost Mike McDonald. They lost their DB's coach. He's the defensive coordinator in Tennessee.
You saw in a real playoff game, the Ravens have the same problem with Lamar. They can't get over the hump.
Yeah.
Why couldn't we beat the Ravens, especially if we win the division, have home field advantage? And the Steelers, I mean, I don't even know who their quarterback is going to be next year, but
all the rumors are pointing to Mr. Ryan Tannehill, baby.
But like to Dan's point, though, next year they should win the division next year.
I agree.
You're right. I agree. They should win the division. And it's time. We should be taking over this division now.
36 years.
Yeah, it should be time. It's time to take over the division now.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. Like, we should win the division this upcoming year. I mean, with the Ravens losing Micah McDonald, they lost their DB's coach. They're more than likely going to lose a good amount of their defensive players because they can only pay so many guys. They're going to lose Patrick Queen for sure. I think they're going to give Justin Matabuke the bag.
Yeah,
as they should. that dude's a dog, man. I love Justin Matabuke. On the offensive side of the ball, Dobbins is gone, but he's been not up playing for them for like forever. Gus Edwards will probably be on a 1 year. They're losing OBJ. It's going to be looking real different. And then the Bengals are losing T. Higgins, Tyler Boyd. I doubt they keep either of those guys. They're losing DJ Reader for sure, who is honestly, I think, their best defensive player. And also they already lost their, Brian Callahan, obviously.
Yeah, I don't know how they're going to be paying guys because, as soon as they paid Joe Burrow hey, Dad, what'd they do when they paid Burrow the money? What'd they start doing? They start padlocking all the...
padlocking the safes.
Yep.
Padlocking the...
No more drinks. No, cheap bastards.
Dude, they don't even got Gatorade.
Joe Burrow's got to pay for all the catering for everybody. He's got to pay for everybody's food.
He renamed the stadium that was named after his dad. He renamed Paul Brown Stadium. For $7 million a year, he changed it to Paycor Stadium and took his own father's name off the stadium.
Dirtbag.
There is nothing cheaper than that for an NFL owner. It's your dad's name.
Legendary Paul Brown.
All that money is going to go to Joe Burrow, and Jamar Chase is about to be the highest paid wide receiver ever.
Do you think they'll actually pay Jamar Chase that money?
Oh, hell yeah. It's not even like Jamar Chase, in my opinion, is top 5, top 3.
If Justin Jefferson wants the money he wants, Jamar Chase's ex-teammate's going to want the same kind of bag or more.
Yeah, and it's just the optics of it, too. Jamar you got to pay Jamar Chase.
TJ Stroud saying he wants to play with him.
I just see, Dan, do you really think the Bengals, after the money they just spent on Burrow, do you really think they would pay Jamar Chase? I get what you're saying, Mike. Why would you let him walk? But I'm looking at the history of the Bengals.
No, I agree. Like, they are a cheap franchise, but if you let T walk,
I don't know if they pay that man.
If you let T walk, you let Tyler walk, and then you let Jamar Chase walk, that city will eat itself.
But you know how they can,
you got to pay Jamar Chase.
You know how they can spin it though as well. The Chiefs traded Tyreek Hill, and it worked out for them. We got Joe Burrow. If we trade Jamar Chase when his time comes and get some picks,
I don't know, man.
Out of him.
I think that city would eat itself.
Do you guys, Dan? Do you think they'll actually pay that guy?
No.
They're not going to be able to justify it and keep the other pieces in place because they have a absolute cap nightmare where they would have 40% of their cap between Jamar Chase, Hendrickson, and Burrow. That's 40% of your team. You still got to pay 50 other guys plus practice squad with the other 60%. Like, who else is playing for you? When franchises make the decision, we're going to pay these quarterbacks this much money and this huge amount, $250 million or $500 million or whatever, they're essentially saying, we think you can win regardless of what's around you. So this is your money, but you are the franchise, and we're going to move pieces around you. Just like, they're essentially betting on him being the next Tom Brady. And until late in Tom Brady's career, he didn't have Randy Moss or Wes Welker. He was doing it with, David Givens and Deion Branch and all these other guys that it's like, in a great defense. It's like they're kind of trying to build that same mold. And now Mahomes has proven that it works.
Yeah. I don't know. And I get that the cap's going to be going up. I think eventually, too, the quarterback could have their own cap space eventually someday. I think it's coming with all this big money. But, the cap is going to be going up, though, with the Amazon money and all that, especially the deal they just announced the other day. But I don't know. I just don't see them paying Jamar Chase that kind of money. And if Justin Jefferson gets the bag first, Mike, what do you think happens to him? Do you think the Vikings, are they going to give him the bag, or do you think he gets moved?
He's getting moved. They don't have a quarterback. They need so many pieces, excuse me. And they can get a similar, if not better, trade package for Justin Jefferson than like what the Dolphins gave for Tyreek. So if you can get 2 firsts and then maybe some young players, that's probably what the Vikings are going to do. They're going to be. I wouldn't be surprised if they use Justin Jefferson as a trade package to move up to pick a Jaden Daniels or someone like that in this draft. I think if they were going to pay Justin, they already would have. Because in my opinion, Justin Jefferson's the best receiver in the league. Yeah. So I think if they were going to pay him, they would have already made that like a huge priority, right? Mm-hmm. Like when you have a best player like that, like Myles Garrett on the Browns, as soon as we knew what he was, sign that man. Long time. You're never leaving. Like you make those Hall of Fame talents a priority. The Vikings haven't, and I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing for the Vikings. Just the Vikings need a lot, and paying Justin Jefferson isn't going to fix that. They need to get a quarterback. They need to rebuild their O-line. They need to rebuild their run game. They still need some defensive pieces because I think Danielle Hunter is leaving. Yeah, the Vikings are in full rebuild mode, so I think they're going to move Justin to help that.
Well, yeah, and they have the Lions in their division, and now the up-and-coming Packers in their division, and the Bears, who are a couple pieces away from being a really good franchise, and they have massive draft capital now. So they're in a tough spot. Vikings are in rebuild. What are we going to do with Nick Chubb, Mike? What do you think the Browns are going to do? You think they're going to blade him?
No, I think he'll play this year. And then we'll see what he's got.
You think they're going to pay that $16 million cap hit?
I think
they'll restructure
contract. Yeah, I think they'll restructure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like.
What if his agent says no? Then what do you do?
Well, at that point, I hate talking the business of this, but like from the business side of things, the ball really is in Cleveland's court with that. So I think his agent will end up saying yes because Nick Chubb is coming off of a horrible injury for running backs.
Oh, there's a market for Nick Chubb still, Mike.
I'm not done. Let me talk. Don't interrupt. Let me talk. But you don't know what he's going to be coming off of this injury. And at the end of the day, like the ball really is in the Browns' court. Every report that I've read,
even if they reconstruct the contract, I'll cut you off quick. Even if they reconstruct it, he's still going to get paid more here out the reconstruction he would anywhere else.
Correct. Yeah, because the running back market
it's not good. Teams aren't valuing the running back anymore.
So even restructured, he'll get paid. Injury. Yeah, exactly. And even getting restructured, he's still going to get paid. And from all reports that I'm reading, is he's not going to be ready week 1. He might not be ready until like week 3 or 4. From what I've read about
October.
Yeah, I've heard October as well. But like Nick Chubb, they're aiming for week 3 to 4 or like mid-October. So like, yeah, he's going to restructure because at the end of the day, like you're coming off of an injury. And even though you're a great running back like Nick Chubb, there were great running backs like out and about, like coming off of an injury. Look at Dalvin Cook, who came off of a 1,000-yard season with the Vikings, and just wasn't being used by the Jets, didn't get signed until like the end of free agency for a vet minimum. Like he was making $4 million. So yeah, Chubb's going to restructure. He'll probably make more around 11 or 12 instead of 16, just so we can free up some cap space to like sign some free agents. But, I think that's what's going to happen. I think the Browns will prioritize the second running back in free agency. I said it on a previous show, like a DeAndre Swift. There's a couple guys out there that could be your RB2. I know the Browns really like Swift, and they tried to trade for him last year in the draft.
I want to point this out. Mary Kay Cabot put out an article this morning. As for Nick Chubb, a lot will depend on how he's doing physically at the beginning of the season. He's expected to make a full recovery this season, but it remains to be seen if he'll be himself early on. The good thing is that the Browns will try to do right by Chubb from a contract standpoint, giving him $15.8 million cap charge. Some creative financing will likely be in order, but they understand that his value to the franchise transcends his on-field contribution.
There we go.
Good.
That's what I was going to say. Is I think a lot of people don't realize.
Shout out to Mary Kay.
The yards that he runs for is just part of it. This dude means so much more to the team. You look at like Kareem Hunt. He wasn't the same guy with Chubb. I think just being a number 2 back to Chubb makes that dude better. I just think Chubb just his presence on the sideline, in the games, it's just different for that team. There's something about that dude.
Well, he sets the bar for work ethic. Nobody
He certainly does, and
going to outwork Nick Chubb.
Right, how he upholds himself. Here, I can tell you the fact that dude could that was a terrible injury, but how many more running backs would have sustained more damage?
Well, he had a bad injury in college too. This is the second one.
Yep. Oh yeah. That's why we got the chance to draft him.
Tremendous shape. I mean, to get out of that hit with that, I thought it was career ending when I saw it. And so, but the way that the team reacted in that game tells you what they think of that dude.
Yep, for sure.
And so I don't think that's why he has to be. They need to let him go out. And I think Nick Chubb, he's one of those guys that doesn't get that far into himself. He understands the market, what's going on with running backs. I think he's just one of those guys. He'll be reasonable about it, and I think the Browns should let him play his career out in Cleveland the way he wants.
And I think too, real quick, Dan, please to your last point there about him not being full of himself, maybe wanting. I think too, a guy coming off an injury like that during his rehab process. You remember he's doing the rehabbing with the team already. They know what's going on with him. You don't really want to change in the middle of your rehab with a different organization because it's not ideal. You know what I mean? That's not very ideal. You're working with the team that had the doctors and everything. They know everything that's happened with the knee, the surgeries, the recovery plan. You don't want to change that in the middle of your rehab process, but I don't know. That's just my opinion.
Well, and the other thing is, what's Nick Chubb think of the Browns' future? What does he think needed to change, and is it changing? And does he feel like the few years he's got on the back half, the back half of his career, can he win there?
Well, I think the new system too, the more spread out, actually could benefit him coming off the because it needs to be less guys in the box. The more spread out you are, I think he'll have actually more capability with less carries, but more, effectiveness.
Hey guys, hate to cut you short. I am taking the girl for lunch. I gotta roll. Happy Super Bowl Sunday. Love you guys. Enjoy.
Love you, Danny boy.
Yep. See ya.
But Mike, that was awesome. We got, anybody out there watching, sometimes we get in heated debates, but we're all good friends. It ain't personal. We all love each other dearly. Mike and I argue on the phone sometimes, and we're like, hey, what do you yeah, we just
and I have just beaten on Mike sometimes, haven't I, Mike?
Yeah.
Mike is taking some severe beating. Yeah, right.
Yeah. But no, it's all good. Anybody out there? We have some new people watch us today, so we get like that sometimes. That's why we're real. That's why it's called The Real. But we're all good friends.
It's all me.
You like that?
But shout out to all the reporters. I wasn't taking a shot at any reporter or anything. I just think Albert Breer was. I don't think he threw that out.
I'm taking a shot at you, Albert Breer. I don't care. Man. New England having clam chowder eating ass.
Oh man! But we might have some other people popping in here and give their picks real quick. If not, we'll wrap up. But I want to wrap up with this real quick, though, guys. I think we need to talk about the Cavs.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
The Cavs deserve respect. Anybody? I put out a exclusive Rumble video. My Rumble channel. I did a Cavs film breakdown the other night and kind of broke down why. I show you guys why I think they're so good this year. How multiple they are on offense. How it's involved Evan Mobley's game as well with all the shooting they have and Mitchell and Garland. I might put that on YouTube here this week, so stay tuned for that.
Real quick, not to cut you off, but I just want to add to what you just said about Evan Mobley shooting. Did you see in last night's game, Evan Mobley gets past the ball on the 3-point line. Scotty Barnes, who's supposed to be guarding him, waves it off. He just waves at him like disrespect like that. Because didn't defend it, and then he drains the three. It was so cathartic. I was like, "Ooh, that's what you get."
Yeah, he's shown though. You could tell. There was footage of him in the rehab process. The 6 weeks he was out, he was in there rapping, shooting that ball. He knew what he needed to do.
NBA's in trouble.
They're in trouble because not only that, but he's isolating one-on-one. I put you guys can watch the film. Like I said, the breakdown I did, he's in that Nets game, taking Ben Simmons one-on-one to the rack like he was doing because all the space, the shooting shot, and Kobe Allman did a hell of a job. I think what happened last year in the Knicks playoffs, going back and rewatching it and looking at it, they didn't have depth, number one, which Mike and I, you were screaming at that. Both of us were screaming at that time. We were reacting to that series.
Transfer some bench, please.
Yeah, we were like, their bench is terrible with Chetty Osman and Lamar Stevens, all these guys. This year they got shooting though, which they did not have in that Knicks series. You go back and watch that Knicks series, they beat us up inside, but it's because they could just clog the paint. And I think what happened was Donovan Mitchell, it forced him to try to play hero ball and jack up so many shots, and it wasn't enough. I mean, he had a great game that first game, they still lost. And by the time they got the third game, fourth game, his legs just looked tired. So the shots showing up short. And the team just looked beat down because they didn't have the depth. Well, this year they go 10-11 deep. I mean, you got the starting five with Garland, Mitchell, who's playing probably his best ball of his career, Strus, the shooter, I think it's like a modern day Mike Miller, and then Mobley, the Twin Towers, and Allen, who Allen has really bounced back and played really well this year. And then you got Sam Merrill off the bench, who's a legit
Cleveland's Mr. Irrelevant, baby. Last
Sam
pick
Merrill
in the NBA draft.
One of the best shooters in the league. And what's great about Sam Merrill is he can put the ball on the floor too and create a little bit, which is nice. You got Yane, Minivan, the shooter, who's a great guy in the post-game show, by the way. I like him on that.
Everybody loved Jordan Yang.
Isaac Okoro has really evolved his game more. He's always been a great defender, but he's hitting the three ball a lot better this year. And
40%.
Yeah, he's always a really good cutter too. He's a really good off the ball player. I like Isaac, but you look at all they brought in. Even a guy like Tristan Thompson, who he's suspended right now, but just having that veteran leadership in the locker room, who also could give you some minutes in a playoff series. He can give you a good solid 10-12 minutes off experience, get in there, get physical. I like this Cavs team. What do you guys think? I mean, they've been dominating. My dad came home last night. We turned on the game, and they're up by 20 on the Raptors. The game's over. You're just like,
I watched that whole game. We were never down by more than like 16. The Cavs are, by the numbers, the best road NBA team in the league, which you want to win in the playoffs, got to win on the road, baby. And the Cavs are really good at it, which is so refreshing because we were talking about this last year, Joseph, how awful we were on the road. Like, it was such a stark contrast between like what the Cavs could do at the Rocket as opposed to what they could do at someone else's house. And now we will come to your house and we'll just take it over, baby. It's so fun to watch this Cavs team. And like you said, you named all the names, but I really think it goes to show, and I was calling for JB Bickerstaff's job. You want to talk about how I don't talk about people's jobs and stuff? I was calling for JB to be fired. I was like, fire him. I'm sick of it. But, shout out to JB.
Should be coach of the year right now. We should have two coach of the years.
Yeah, 2 coach years in Cleveland because he must have made a real big emphasis during summer league and training camp and what have you about shooting the three ball, because like you said, Isaac has improved his game as a 3-point shooter. He's he's up from like 20 some odd percent to 40. Karis LeVert's up from like 30 to 40 now. And obviously Evan Mobley. So they really zeroed in on, hey guys, if we all get in and learn how to, create our own shot, shoot this three, we can be dangerous.
Guys in there that shoot is what they did. Because you look at Karis LeVert. Karis LeVert's assist is up this year too, and I think Karis actually an underrated playmaker. He had like
I'm glad we extended him. I'm glad.
He can create his own shot. He can shoot the three. He had 5-6 assists the other night. He didn't take one of the threes. They had 11 threes on the bench in that next game.
Leads the league in bench points too.
Yeah, I mean,
potential 6th man of the year.
Looking at him in Brooklyn, though, his last year in Brooklyn, they had good shooting around him. He averaged 6 assists. I mean, he is a playmaker who they have off the bench. But also, I think too, JB, what makes a great coach is the staff they put around him. And he has a great staff. I don't know if anybody knows any coaches he has up there. He's got some Luke Walton, Greg Buckner. And this is second year with Luke Walton running the offense too. You could see that with the system change. I think they have another they got some really good development coaches. I think one of them is in the Mamba Mentality book I got up there. He used to train Kobe Bryant. I believe I know his name. I don't want to butcher it. But Dad, what do you think of the Cavs from what you've seen?
Well, I've seen very little. I haven't been able to watch really any games this year, but just having that outside shooting's changed it. And Mobley, I told you when he was drafted, this guy's going to be one of the top players in the league in 5 years. I mean, just his skill level, everything he can do, and he's going through that process now. He's maturing more. So, and it's here. It's harder for me to put a thumb on it because I haven't got a chance to watch them. But you're going to have that rough spell in the beginning. You bring in those added players. To, and early in the season they were calling for JB, but now it's clicked. So thank God they didn't fire him. But
his staff is JJ Outlaw.
He's got a great staff. I mean, you know what though? The whole organization.
JJ Outlaw. Yeah, JJ Outlaw, who was in the Mamba mentality, but used to be with the Lakers. He's the player development coach here. So that's a very good coach you got in there. Kobe put him in his book. So it tells you what he thinks of him. You got Sidrunas Ogauskas as an advisor. Jose Calderon, also advisor.
Shout out to Z, man. He had a horrible year last year. God bless his family.
Weems from St. Vincent St. Mary. Shout out to Weems, assistant GM, who's also a friend of somebody. We'll
right.
But I mean they got a lot of ex Anderson Varejao, player development consultant. They got a lot of ex players involved in the organization, especially with the development side. Daniel Gibson's been working a lot with Monty Bates. I mean,
that makes a big difference. I mean, guys that are from the culture. I mean, Dan Gilbert's done a great job. A lot of people shit on and say things about Dan Gilbert. Dan Gilbert, I think, has been one of the best owners in sports since he took over that team. I mean, from what it was when you used to go to a Cavs game, and I'm not saying anything bad about Gordon Gunn, because the Cavs, those 80s Cavs teams are really good. And, some of them in the 90s, even in the 90s too. But what he's done from day one, I mean, the dude spent the money. The in-game entertainment's probably unmatched. It's a great organization, and that factors down. And going back to last year in that Knicks series, those guys were all young. I mean, it was the first time getting in. It's gonna be it'll be different this year.
They also have Sidney Lowe as one of their coaches too.
Yeah,
another former player from the '80s, played with the Bulls. But yeah, and they deserve a lot of credit because when LeBron left in 2018, all you heard was, "Oh, it's gonna be 5-10 years." Everybody's shitting on the organization and.
Only took two?
Yeah, and you had this.
Right.
I'm not gonna say any names. But you had people on the national media landscape saying, they could have kept Kyrie, and like, okay, yeah, whatever. We know Kyrie wanted out because he knew LeBron was leaving. Let's be honest, all right, and he wanted to get out under that wing. So we'll just leave that at that. But my whole point is people are shitting on the organization. They're never gonna be good again. It's gonna be Siberia, blah blah blah.
Siberia.
But all they did was draft good players. I mean, Colin Sexton turned into Donovan Mitchell, so he was part of that trade. And you got Lauri Markkanen, a good trade, who turned into an all-star because your player development here revitalized his career here. That turned into Donovan Mitchell as well.
You look at an extension, dude.
But yeah, I mean, look at all these guys. I mean, they nailed Evan Mobley. They got Darius Garland coming off the injury. They nailed that pick. They could have went elsewhere. Getting Donovan. Getting Jared Allen in that trade. I mean, that's one of the sneakiest trades you've ever seen. They stole Jared Allen for nothing. Stole. I remember when that day I was down at the basketball court down the street, and I looked at the phone when that trade went down, and I was just like, "How did they get Jared Allen?
Stole.
How did Houston not want him in return for Harden? Like, and then not only that, then they got the other key piece in that trade too, and LeVert for nothing. They got him for a second-round pick. Remember that? LeVert and Allen. Think of that. LeVert and Allen were Brooklyn's two big pieces that they had to move away to get James Harden, and we got them both for nothing.
We did.
I mean, Kobe Altman was sitting back there just like, these assholes. Like,
they've done a hell of a job.
Jared Allen's one of the best centers in the league now. One of the best centers in the league.
What I like about them and what I like about Andrew Berry too, Mike. When we need something, they go out and get it done. They don't sit on their ass. They don't sit on their we needed shooting. What did he do? He went out and got shooting. It's just like last year with the Browns defense. Why I expect them to revitalize that receiver room this year? When we need something, it gets done. To me, that's what I like about aggressive organizations that are trying to win. Dan Gilbert's always tried to win. Now I know he's not involved as much because he had the health problem, and I think his son's running it more now. But heck, his son's doing a hell of a job then. So
yeah.
I mean,
I just hope that they get a marquee player somehow, some way, because that's going to be the difference. I mean, it kind of reminds me of the Cavs back in the 80s. I mean, they really were like the best team. Like the year that Jordan hit the shot,
they were supposed to be the next team.
They were the best team in basketball, but Bulls just had the best player. You know what I mean? And that was more than just 1 year. I mean, the Cavs were just unbelievable teams, and it was all through drafting. Like Ron Harper. Remember Ron Harper's career with the Bulls, and went to the Lakers. He started
a great player,
drafted by the Cavs.
Yeah,
grown by the Cavs. I mean, it's just always been a good organization, and but they were doing it with guys that weren't like the best at their position. You talk about Brad Daugherty and Hot Rod Williams and Larry Nance and Mark Price, Craig Elo. I mean,
Mark Price was a dog, though.
Hell yeah, he was a dog. I love Mark Price.
But
no one gave him
a Hall of Famer. If he
yeah. Absolutely.
He created the splitting the defenders, splitting the pick and roll. That was created by pulling up on a dime. Mark Price created that.
But they were able to do it without a Bird, a Magic, a Jordan, and but they could never get over that hump because they just didn't have that player. And now, and I think that player is even more vital now than it was before. So hopefully they can pull it off.
And if you're Donovan Mitchell, why would you want to leave?
That's what my thought process is like.
Because if Donovan on the Knicks, I don't think fits. How does he fit with Brunson? They do the same thing, and they have less shooting. Oh no, they just added shooting. But again, I don't see that. And plus, if LeBron's on the Knicks, LeBron's going to the Knicks. Although if I'm LeBron, though, if it's about basketball and winning a championship this offseason, because he can opt out as well, you're talking about getting the next marquee guy. If I'm LeBron, why not just slide back in here and play the three with these two guards and these two twin towers and all the shooting? I mean,
well, it would have to be purely about basketball with him, and
right, we don't know.
Yeah,
but yeah, I mean, but if I'm Donovan, though, why would I leave? Though, why would I go? Number one, I wouldn't go to the team that beat me. That's just me. But I don't know where else he could go that's better than what he has going right now. They're the second team in the East. They're only 4 games back from Boston. I mean, technically, they could catch Boston, which would be unbelievable if they did. They're only 4.5 games back. So why would he leave? And they're young.
Yeah.
Right.
But again, what's the motive? I don't know. But I do think that. How far do you think the Cavs can go this year, both you guys? I think they can make it to the conference finals.
Oh, I think so.
I think they can make it to the conference finals, but if they keep clicking, dude, I mean, there's not really like a super. I mean, yeah, the Celtics, but like we match up pretty well with them. I mean, we can shoot just as well as them. I think we have actually 3 more threes than they do right now. So I
think we have better depth than the Celtics. My only concern with the Celtics, though, is because of our smaller guards. If the Celtics go big with Tatum and Brown and put that bigger lineup out there, that could be a problem. But I don't know, though. I mean, the Celtics, though, in big moments, I mean, they made it to the finals, but they haven't really got it done when it mattered most.
Yeah. I think we can compete with anybody, man. I really do. Like, I think we could. I mean, this could be a year where we sneak into the finals like that Miami bubble team, that just, everything worked at the right time and they just rode it all the way to the championship. And yet I think we can. And, we could see like the weirdest. Maybe we didn't get the Browns Lions Super Bowl, but maybe we'll get the Cavaliers Wolves NBA Finals. Because I am a Timberwolves believer this year, dude. That team is scary good.
I like the Clippers coming out this year. I think it's their time. They got to get it done. I like the Clippers, and they're rolling. But Timberwolves are good. I got the Clippers and Nuggets.
Wolves are right there with them, dude. Wolves are right there with them.
Oh, they're good. They're good. OKC's good too. I mean, they're pretty good.
Yeah,
but
finally, Sam Presti, all those goddamn picks paid off. Took him enough.
I mean, you got Shai Gilt. Shai is unbelievable.
Shai is the best point guard in the league, in my opinion, right now.
Pretty good. Might be the MVP candidate.
Yeah, Shai Gilt Alexander's a dog, dude.
How far do you think that? You think CC Conference Finals?
Yeah, hell yeah, they can get there. Here, their ticket is Evan Mobley, and when not just this year, but going forward. Yeah. Can they develop him into that guy I thought he was going to be in 5 years, a marquee player, to where he just, what I mean?
Davis, top 10 player in the league.
Yeah. Can they develop him into that to where he's just dominant and this guy just wins games for you and then everyone feeds off of him. So, because the chances of getting a guy in free agency is highly unlikely, but But here you've seen the Spurs do it with Tim Duncan. They just, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
They found a special player, and the guy was kind of a quiet guy. That's kind of what Mobley reminds me of, but he's much more skilled. But that's their key is Evan Mobley, and develop him. And if that dude can keep getting better and better and better and better the next, 2-3 months, hell yeah, we get the Eastern Conference Championship.
Gerge texted me and said 31-27 49ers. That's who he has. So before we get out of here, I got Gerge 31-27. Dan said 27-23. Corey said 28-24. Chiefs. I got 34-24 Niners. What do you got, Mike?
31-28 Niners.
Yeah.
34-27 Niners.
34-27. All right. Well, I think we're at 100 subscribers now. So appreciate you guys for that.
Yeah, absolutely.
You guys want to tell them why? I appreciate all your guys' support, appreciate our show and my show during the week. You guys want to tell them why I need to keep liking, subscribing, and sharing, Mike?
Tell them, Mike.
Yeah, I'll tell them right now. I'll tell them right now because we want to hear what you have to say. We want to hear if you think we're dumb or you agree with us or what have you. We love, getting in there with the audience. So leave a comment down below. You like the show, like it, subscribe, share it with everybody, share it with your dog, share it with your cats, your moms, your in-laws, your mistress, the people you love, the people you hate, everybody in between. Because we appreciate you and we want you to appreciate us.
That's it. That's what, and the whole basis of the show, both ends of the show, whether it's sports or mental health, it's all about for other people. As far as on the sports end of it, it's really not about us. We're doing it just to entertain people, and we want to hear what other people have to say. We want more people to come on. That's when the shows are best, when you get more and more people to chat in or come on. So yeah, we're not like a lot of these other people that do shows that they're all full of themselves and they think their opinions the end all be all, or not at all. We like to get on here and have fun, and we want to hear what other people have to say too. So that's and as a fan or somebody watching, that's what you want.
Absolutely. Except remember, my opinion's always right.
Yeah. So come partake.
Yeah,
partake. Also, if you don't subscribe, you hate dogs.
Yeah.
Yep.
Subscribe for the dog. Like we'll get
right for the dog.
Tell him, dog.
That. Watson, say something. Watson, come on. It's your time to shine, bro. Oh, he said no.
He said nothing more needs to be said. Just subscribe. Just show the face. Subscribe for the dog.
Subscribe for the dog.
All right.
Subscribe for the dog.
Good boy.
He needs to eat. So subscribe for the subscribe.
I gotta feed him.
Yeah. Yeah. But all right, we'll see you guys next one. Happy Super Bowl Sunday. Love all you guys.
Happy Super Bowl Sunday. Love y'all. Later.